Welcome back, everyone. In case you haven't seen it yet, make sure you check out the link in the description for part 1 of this top 10 list. As for now, though, let us continue into part 2 with...
It's a lesson that the Kirin never learned.
Number 5.
So I can destroy Starlight's life like she destroyed mine. Understand?
The party password is rutabaga.
The Mean Six has one of the most gripping openings in the entirety of the series. A random photographer subtly stealing hairs from each of the main six who then reveals herself as Chrysalis? You can't help but think that there's something huge about to happen here. Admittedly, having Chrysalis getting in way over her head by once again overestimating her own abilities, some might call that a bit of a letdown. But if you put aside judging the episode for what you'd want it to be instead of what it actually is, The Mean Six is still a highly entertaining story. Seeing all these characters interacting with their doppelgangers and all the shenanigans that come with it is a treat to behold. While there may or may not be any lasting consequences from how everything comes together in the end, I still consider The Mean Six a far more memorable episode than most.
It's a lesson that the Kirin never learned.
Number 4. Out of every entry in Season 8, I don't think I've ever laughed harder than when I was watching Matter of Principles. This is not only a great outing for Discord, but also includes a very entertaining dynamic between Starlight and Spike. The Student Six are setting up artifacts which will be used during the season finale, and this one moment from Starlight is perhaps the most patient, mature, and understanding she's been in the entire series. Even though she is largely in the right, she realizes that by continuing to push back against Discord will only make the circumstances worse. And yes, that can be a very harsh lesson for most anyone to learn, so I have to applaud the MLP staff for presenting it so well. Admittedly, I did find Discord's treatment of the students rather distracting, but one could easily argue that that is a staple of his character whenever he's feeling ignored. Overall, there are more than a few reasons why I'll be going back and watching Matter of Principles again.
It's a lesson that the Kirin never learned.
Number 3.
You're gonna find out it's pretty hard to stunt tricks in a full-body wing and hook cast, drinking through a straw.
I think she gets the point.
I'm not finished!
Building upon a rivalry in Season 3's Wonderbolt Academy, and combining some elements established in Season 4's Flight to the Finish, The Washouts is a very natural progression of the relationship between Rainbow Dash and her longtime biggest fan, Scootaloo. I deeply appreciate how Rainbow's more self-centered nature came back to bite her in a far more personal way than at any other point in the series thus far. That sincerely emotional scene of Scootaloo proclaiming that she can't fly, Rainbow admitting just how wrong she had been to the one pony who looked up to her more than any other, it makes for some truly wonderful storytelling when you can compare a much earlier scene of Rainbow encouraging Scootaloo in perhaps her greatest moment of despair, and yet neither scene feels the least bit out of character. I may have some qualms about how Lightning Dust is very clearly in the wrong during the final conflict instead of leaving both sides with some positive elements, but I have to admit, the Washouts made for a fantastic continuation of Scootaloo's journey.
It's a lesson that the Kirin never learned.
Number 2.
I know it's not your birthday, so you gotta party, even though we'll sing and dance from 1 to 10, and then we'll do it all again! More tea, Princess Pudding Rock?
There had always been something just a bit off about Cozy Glow from her very first appearance, but it was never quite enough for you to be sure. And throughout the season, tiny hints were dropped that she had some ulterior motives for being at Twilight School. But I will admit the level of planning that went into the final scheme shows a lot more foresight than most any other villain in the entire series. Considering how every main character had been made powerless to stop the initial phases Cozy Glow had set up, and yet no one feels out of character in order to make the plot work? It's rather admirable the MLP staff have come up with yet another compelling villain after 8 seasons. The Students 6 were all given their moment to shine. There was some fascinating world building with how the monstrous creatures had reverted back to their base animal forms after losing their magic. And unlike, say, the Pony of Shadows, where the threat to Equestria is only spoken of and not seen, School Raze shows how the lack of magic throughout the land will have dire long-term consequences if left unchecked. Overall, a rather satisfying season finale that came with some very subtle build-up throughout previous episodes. Now, before we get to my number 1 pick for Season 8, there are a few honorable mentions which I actually had a hard time picking which ones I couldn't include.
Captain Woods, are you prepared to enter the world of ogres and oubliettes?
Huzzah, fellow adventurers!
It is time for a new day in Equestria.
A bit more energy.
It's time for a new day in Equestria!
What happened to you?
What happened to you?
You never saw any of that. Got it.
What just happened? Did I just sprout wings? I just sprouted wings!
And by far, the best entry in MLP Season 8 is...
My lips are sealed. Time for my top secret quest to the gift givers!
I might be cheating by including this in a list for MLP Season 8. There will likely be more than a few fans out there commenting that maybe this shouldn't even count given its more lengthy runtime allowing for much more of a story. But I really can't think of any episode of MLP in 2018 that even came close to the level of storytelling that is this special. Every member of the main 6 is given focus, without any individual conflict feeling out of place. The jokes are on par with pretty much any of the best episodes in the show. And let me tell you, every time I watch Best Gift Ever, I can't help but feel that warm holiday spirit. It is truly a rarity to find any television series which can come up with a holiday special that you can go back to again and again for years to come. Taking your favorite characters and not making a single one of them feel shoehorned into the plot? Teaching multiple heartfelt lessons that stick with you long after watching? All the while you're laughing along with every one of their shenanigans. And even tearing up at their struggles just a couple minutes later. I have never seen any episode, special, or movie in the MLP series pull off so many elements of great storytelling so effectively. One could argue that it should have its own place outside of a Season 8 list. But as for me, I couldn't help but include Best Gift Ever as the greatest accomplishment for the MLP staff in all of 2018. But in the end, I know this is my list, and I do tend to focus a lot on how much of an impact the lesson leaves on me, or how much they're adding to the world while keeping the story grounded, or even just keeping me guessing as to how the story is going to wrap up. If you have some differing ideas on what should constitute a top 10 list for MLP Season 8, let me know in the comments below. How does your list compare to the one I've come up with? What are you looking forward to most in the upcoming Season 9? It may be a while until we get any new material, but I'm sure the MLP staff will be coming up with even more ways to exceed our expectations with every passing year. Until next time, I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.